It is pie time again. The time is pie. And we're going to continue. This is the next day of recording. This is tomorrow. But yeah, I think some video in the past I said I was going to put them out, but like on a schedule or something. But for some reason, when I uploaded them, they went public immediately. So now all of the series so far is just already out, which is fine. Because I don't know what I was going to do with it anyway. But yeah, let's continue. I think if I remember correctly, I didn't look at the last part since I recorded it. In fact, probably not going to watch it back because I don't want to face that. But I think where I was at was we were going from like 62 onwards. So we've done the purple pies in the last couple of videos, and we moved on. I think I talked a bit about what like the range of pie was. So let's put these back. And I think what we can do is just go through the variants. Let's go through just the regular pie for now. And just look at all the different variants there were and stuff like that. So I've got here a stack. It might not be in perfect order, but it's in order from like early to late. So we're just going to go through that and talk about the changing design and stuff. Over there I've got some other stuff to talk about later. That's just variants. I might get to those. And I suppose we can also talk about Piccadilly and stuff that lined up at the same time. I think in the last video I talked about Reprise as well. I found a couple more of those as well. But I'll talk to these when we get in a second. But found some EPs. I think I talked about the fact there were two main like printing machines they used. There was one that printed with this narrow font, and there's one that printed with this mixture of this one and that one. And as you can see on this one as well, we have the variant in the label as well. For example, all the ones that I found with this font use this design with this thinner type here, which goes straight from that end to that end. And all the ones with this type use this logo where the text doesn't reach the ends of the label. So as you can see, it's a slightly different probably printing block or something they used. This one's the same as that one, of course. So that's that variant. I'm not sure if there was a variant in the printing used on these ones, but we'll have a look in a second. So let's just go into it. Starting with 62. This is the Pi Jazz, the only one I've got from the time, I think. I think all the Pi Jazz records I could find use this font. I couldn't find one with the square font on it, which is interesting. It seems like the bigger ones like Pi, Piccadilly and Reprise used probably a mixture. When they had big sellers or something, they used both machines to do the labels. Maybe there were more than two, maybe there were like 4 or 5. I'm not sure how quick printing was, but there seem to be 2 different sets of type anyway. And the Pi and Piccadilly and Reprise seem to use both of those. Pi International, in this era, I could only find ones with the squared font, much like that one. I couldn't find any Pi Internationals. Maybe I just haven't found them yet, but I couldn't find any with this font. I couldn't find any Pi Jazzes with the other font. I couldn't find any Pi Internationals, the later ones, with the other font as well. So it seems like some labels they just strictly kept to one set of type with, but the bigger ones like Pi, especially if they've got a big seller and they need to print lots of labels for it, they probably used multiple different machines over the course of a few different iterations as well to just get the stock they needed. So that's what gives you the variations. But yeah, I'll put this Pi Jazz aside now, but that's the only one I got. The sleeves, they seem to like line up with the labels. There might have been a bit of an overlap, at some point. But generally with this design with the Pi on the left, you had this sleeve. Although this Pi logo looks a little bit oval, a bit squished. I don't know if they're all like that. Let's look in a minute. But yeah, 62. We just got onto this label. Here's a variant. It's again got the square text, not the narrow one. This one's probably pressed by Philips or Phonodisc, because it has the 3-prong center and that sort of text code they always used, and it's a rougher texture label as well, so it's nice to get some variants. Although if you have an auto changer, these Philips ones don't really seem to stack on top of the Pi ones correctly, so if you're playing a stack of Pi records and this one's in there, in my experience it just slips on the thing, which isn't great. Some of the grippy ridges are better than others, and sometimes it just didn't line up. Have we got another one? Again with the square text, but this is one with no holes cut in it at all. This is a Pi pressing, but it's a solid center record. And this is another copy of the same one. No, it's not. That's a different record. Hang on a minute. But it's that's a solid one. So yeah, they did have multiple variants. You could get them with no holes cut in them this early as well. Now these are two copies of the same record. These showcase a different type. For example, this one's one we're used to, the squared one. Let's get the A side. It's quite a good record actually, Sweets for My Sweet. But this one has the squared type, and this one is the same record, but it has the narrow type on it. I think it's similar to... Is it the same as this one? Maybe it's not after all. To be honest, it seems like this is a different font to that. That's interesting. We might have another variant I haven't looked at yet. Yeah, it's different. The M on this one is kind of flared, but this one is squared off, so that's interesting. So there's another font I haven't even talked about. I always thought this was going to be the same as that one, but it's not. Okay, that's interesting, because that'll be the same as this one as well. Maybe they only use these on the these two labels. Let's get back to that later. But yeah, that's the two variants. I don't know if there's any other differences in the label design. Both of them have the sort of flex to keep the text from getting into the middle of the label. As you can see, this one still has the I think it's a Pi pressing, but it still has the thing, the center without the extra ridge on the outside. That might be a contract though, I'm not sure. I can't see any other differences. Yeah, so that's that. Interestingly, we have the 45 RPM in that font as well, and it's in not in that one when it's here. Oh yeah, this is a copy of the same one with a solid middle, and as you can see, the flex, the little black lines to stop the to keep the typesetter from going too far into the middle, a bit more visible on this one. Well, this label's not printed on the middle, but yeah, that's that one. Okay, this is another one with the narrow font on it. A solid center with a narrow font. We've still got this sleeve design. 15739. Good song, good record this. I did a video on these Pis. Might be worth looking at if you want. Yeah, that's that one. So you can see we got all kinds of variants here. Here's a narrow font one with the Philips center on it. We've got another narrow one with the proper push out center. This one doesn't have a rim on it. So 62, this one's from. They were still using the center without the lip on it. It seems like maybe Sweets for My Sweet was the turning point. Maybe this is a slightly earlier pressing, because it doesn't have the ridge on the outside. The same as this one, that would make sense. But yeah, here's another one with the narrow font on it. And this one is one I couldn't find a match for. Interestingly, this font seems to be unique. Yeah, it's like narrower, and for some reason they've got different ones on either side, which happens sometimes because they probably print the labels in a stack and they just pull out random ones to put on the record. So you do find ones where they've got different fonts on both sides, which can make it a bit annoying to catalogue if you've got Discogs or something. But yeah, this record also smells very strong. Yeah, it's a different font, as you can see. The tail of the R, on this one it's straight, and on this one it's slightly curved, a bit like the font used on CBS. That might be the same one actually. This one is different to everything else I've seen. I don't know what this comes from, but it's probably made by Pi anyway. Maybe they just had an extra set of type they didn't use. But I haven't found any other ones with this font on it. Next we have quite a late one with this. It's 64 15743, and it's the narrow font on both sides. Although interesting, this one doesn't have the rim on it. Maybe it's a contract pressing after all. Still not entirely sure where the different centre comes from, but this one has just kind of thrown my hypothesis a bit because it doesn't have that extra rim on it. Maybe it's pressed by a different company. 64, as you can see, it has the Roman font on there. I think a lot of the other ones have a different one. But yeah, the square typeface. And here's a later pressing of the same record. Both of the square type. As you can see, this is probably one of the earliest ones with this design. The next design with the black bar on the top. Yeah, I think the text is slightly bigger as well. But that's where this text starts coming in, over here. Even though it was used a few years before, in 1961, on the Reprise records. I think what Pi did was they thought maybe that the Reprise layout was better than this one. Maybe they could fit more on it, so they just basically copied the layout over. I'll get a single because it's more faithful, I suppose. Hang on a second. Yeah, here we go from 1961. Because it looks like they had this one and they thought, well, maybe this layout is the best one after all, because they adapted it onto the Pi label by having the logo up here, just like Reprise was. The rights text underneath it in a line, which means you're not cluttering up the outside. Maybe you can fit some more text on there. A nice large printing for the name of the artist on the left, and the song title at the bottom, and the catalogue on the right, like that. And this is probably my favourite Pi label design. Interesting, there's a typo on this one. It says Shore Sandy instead of Sandy Shore, so that probably means it's one of the first ever ones with this label design, because the original pressings would have been on this label, and they probably made this one as soon as they changed it over, but the first few must have escaped with this typo on it. And at the same time, they also started having this one as well. I think it was around January or so, 1965, like early, probably just the turn of the year. They started using these labels instead of the ones with the round logo on the left. And this sleeve as well, which has all the Pi labels on it, because before then you had a different sleeve for Piccadilly, a different one for Pi Jazz and Pi International. But by the time this one came out, you had the same basic label design and I'll get all the other ones out in just a second. But this is an example of one with the narrow text as opposed to the squared text on that one. Also has the push-out center with the extra rim on it. And there's another difference as well, which is that the labels printed with this in the earlier years, like 65, when these labels first came out, the ones that were printed with the wider text always had an extra strip of pink at the top, so that the Pi label was on a black strip. But the ones printed on this machine, which had the text with a narrower font on it, they didn't have that extra black strip at the top, the extra pink at the top, so it's just like the whole top of the label is black. And here's another example. Maybe you can see a bit more the top of the label there, but there's the Pi label is on its the whole top of the label's black, as opposed to having that extra bit of pink, which means that the black, it's just a black strip instead of an entire field of black at the top. Sorry, I had some water there. My throat was about to pass out. But I don't know if you noticed some of these records here. If you see in my previous video about Pi, not this series, but about the labels, but about my collection of Pi, there are a new couple that weren't in that video because I only got this one about a week ago. Donovan, one I've wanted for a long time, colours and Listen For You. Great to have it on a solid centre record, my favourite kind, and it has the narrow font as well. This one's new as well, round every corner. Did it chart? I suppose it did. Being Petula Clark, most of her stuff charted, but I don't know if it did particularly well. Maybe a minor hit. But yeah, as you can see, we got the solid centre with the round squared font, the solid centre with the narrow font, which in 65 still, I think up till November or so, the whole top of the label was black, but only on the ones with the narrow font, which makes me think that they had the label and the text printed on an entire thing, and then a whole separate thing for the wider font. I'm not sure why though, because you'd think both of the printing blocks with the logo would have been made by Pi, and they would have made it consistent. But I'm not sure. Maybe the printing place was in a different town or something. Maybe it wasn't in the same building. Maybe it was off somewhere, a different printing company. That might be a thing, but I'm honestly not sure what the printing world was like, or is still like, to be honest. And here we have one probably from later 65. This was 15945. This is 15986. So somewhere in the middle of the 159 something, probably in late 65. We have the narrow font again, but they finally cut the top of the black off, so it's no longer black all the way up. And interestingly, also, the label logo, I'm not sure if it's consistent, but the Pi seems to be a bit thicker. Maybe it's a whole different print, but let's just compare it to the other one. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Another difference is the text is narrow. It's quite small text actually. Is that the same? I'm doing some research on the fly here. This text is narrow. Hang on a minute. Let's compare it to this one. It looks like the same rights text. It's just the only difference being the bit of the black at the top. Interesting. So they probably, I'm not sure what the difference was there, why that bit at the top is missing. I honestly kind of like it when it's all the way black. Where's that Donovan again? I just want to see it. There we go. Because it's like if you hold it like that, you can see the bottom of the label's all pink, the top of it's all black, and it looks like the little pie logo in pink is just sitting on top of the rest of the label, and it looks quite good. I also like the black bar that it later evolved into, or rather, it sort of was absorbed into, because the original ones from 65 also had the just a bar when they were made with this printing machine, but it's a different look. I like the idea of having a black bar across as well, so I'm not sure if I have a preference over the two. Now this one, it's a solid one again. This is 66, so we moved on a bit. We're now well into the era of the black bar instead of the black top. Interestingly, this one, as you can see, when they've got a long band name, they seem to do a variation of different things. And I'll get to that in a future video in this series. As you can see, this sleeve is original to the record probably, but this one has I think it's like a grotesque type font. Put it over there. And this one we have a picture sleeve, but it's just a pie in the middle. Narrow font, solid center. Interestingly, we have what turns out to be a typo. The year is 56 when it should be 65, which is interesting. It's like a Dixieland kind of song. And another one here from 65. This is one of the first of the black bar pies. If you don't count the Sandy Shore, or the Shore Sandy, because it's a repress, I think this is one of the earlier ones, 15801. Because they changed the system from 15 something 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 to 17. They skipped 16. So the earlier ones have a catalogue starting in 15. As you can see, this earlier one from 65, it has the black bar without any black at the top. That's because it has this this print here, and it seems like all it seems like the labels with a black going all the way to the top are the labels which we used the narrow print in 65 until they changed it so both of them had the thing. So the narrow print and the label with the black all the way to the top are probably what's the word? This is something about statistics. There's a word for that. I guess dependent. I'm not sure, but they're linked anyway. And the labels with the narrow font will always have. Let's make this a hypothesis. All the pie labels from early 65 that have the narrow type, like this one, will have a label that's black to the top, and all the labels made by Pie, regardless of year, that use this design and this type will always have pink at the top of the label, like that one. And that is something I will bet on, because that's my hypothesis, that that was one type of machine and the other one was another. Some more ones here. We've got 67. This is late game black bar pie. And another late game black bar pie from 67 as well. 15396, 15385. So this is getting quite late from 67, since they're about to change the label design. And this one, 65 a bit earlier, but I think I got this one out because it shows that it had both designs on either side, as we saw earlier. But what's interesting with this design is because it's from 65, with the A side you have the square print from one machine. On the other side you have the narrow print from another machine, and it shows the label without any pink at the top as well. So that's a great little showcase of both label styles. Imagine being a big selling record. There are probably a few like that, so I wouldn't say it's like a particular rarity, because Pie probably just stuck a random label on either side and it wouldn't really matter if they lined up or not. But I'll leave this video here. In the next one, I need to remind myself not to go straight ahead because I want to talk about the other labels first.